When's this thing begin? Oh, hi. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Is this on? I think so. Okay. Are we live? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Awesome. Hey, I told you guys we were going to have a surprise today. Well, I was just kidding. I was just joking. We're not really having any... Oh, wait, we are. I'm just kidding again. Who is that? Oh! William, all right, man. Good to have you with me.
Good to be here.
And there's someone else over there coming in. Who's that?
I got the
Chips.
Here we go.
Oh, thanks. I needed some
Rocker.
chips. Hey,
Yeah.
it's Vanessa. All right. Hey, guys. Look at this. We're all together. This is so awesome. I can't believe it. We're glad you guys could join us, and we're ready for questions.
Who's out there?
Yeah, exactly. Who do we
Yeah, sound off.
Anybody?
Can we give it to the group post?
Oh yes, we're also going to make sure that certain people are able to get the link. So sit tight. We're gonna give the link to everyone else after a little bit. But basically, this has been something we've been plotting for how many months now?
Oh, geez.
Like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been in the background noise for a little while now. So unfortunately, some people couldn't make it. So we're gonna first give them the Zoom link so they can jump in and join with us, hopefully. And then once we know everyone who can join us is ready to join, we're going to open up the Zoom link to everyone else. So that way we can have other people joining in and saying hi.
Yes.
So meantime, our plans are tomorrow morning. We're going to be playing some D&D live streaming, long as all the technical stuff is good.
Fingers crossed.
It was an odyssey to make sure that we could do this in the hotel.
Right. Even with a tech support call.
What's your upload speed? We need to live stream from a hotel room.
You need what? That was fun.
So they ran a special cable to the hotel just for us.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
We're going to stick with that.
Fiber optic stream right from the hotel.
Is your facial hair flocking?
No, that's real.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna have a game tomorrow. So I hope you guys join us. And we're all three gonna be dwarves, so this should be fun. The game's called Dude, Where's My Cart?
Yes.
So we're dwarves. We wake up in a stupor and we don't know what we did with our cart. So that's kind of the premise of the game, and it's gonna be pretty fun.
Yeah.
I am actually gonna be playing a female dwarf. I'm gonna be playing Hilga, Roderick's girlfriend. So this should be pretty fun. And what are you guys playing?
Playing a guy who lost his arm in a mining accident and now enjoys his cups.
Yep. And I'm playing a tinkerer who is kind of like the magpie. Anything shiny and metallic, I'm going to go for, and I kind of help him out every so often with his missing arm issue.
Yes, built me into one. Yep.
So I hope you guys can join us. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
How far did everyone have to travel?
Let's see. We had about a 9-hour drive to Columbus. You lucked out with probably the shortest.
Yeah, I live in Dayton, so I'm not very far away. Yeah.
Yep, I flew from Maryland this morning, so short flight, but 2-hour drive to the airport.
Yeah.
So we're in Columbus, if nobody knows.
Yeah,
Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. Yeah. Good old Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, should we mention for tomorrow?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes. Go for it. Do you want to?
Go ahead.
We're
mention away.
we're at the Hampton Inn and Suites on what is it, Stelter Road?
Seltzer?
I guess there's 2 of them, so you got to know which one.
Yeah, not seltzer, it's stelzer, right?
Well, I'm drinking seltzer.
I wanted to say seltzer. I'm like, clowns are hiding and they're going to leap out in the shrews.
So if any of you happen to live in Ohio, in this part of the country, tomorrow from 5 to 7 p.m., you come on by, we'll just do a quick little hangout, meet and greet, say hi, no big deal.
Yeah, should be fun. We'll put more information on the respective groups and everything to make it easier if you are in the area to come and find us.
Yeah, definitely.
Should be fun. Come if you can.
Totally. Come visit us.
Yay! This is always one of the 30-second delay. You're probably typing something or like waiting.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So everything you're watching is on a 30 to 45 second delay.
Yeah, just so it's not stuttering for you the whole time.
Right.
Better
Just to be
lagging.
safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be safe. But yeah, do we tell them about the game time tomorrow when it starts? It's going to start at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning. Your channel.
Yes.
Yes, because we have it all set up on this channel right now. We're not going to mess with it.
Yes. I have one of those. A channel.
The what?
My what? Oh, yes, a channel.
So it's going to be on Scotty's channel. We'll start around 9 o'clock, and we're excited to see how it goes with it. And the Mr. Muse is going to be our DM, and
Yes.
it's a nice little homebrew that he's come up
We're
with.
all very
so
excited.
Hope you enjoy it. Absolutely. I don't think he knows what he's in for.
I'm sure it'll be great.
So what have we been up to lately? What's in the news? We finished up this year's Women in Crafting, right?
Yep, that went over really well. The women's group is growing. We're getting other women joining us, and it's basically been open up to basically anyone who does some sort of creative outlet for tabletop, role-playing games type of stuff. The responses were pretty positive. It was great reading the comments and getting all the support from everyone in the community. One person had a really great idea about maybe revisiting everyone in a year and seeing how everyone's doing, so that's definitely something I'm putting on one of my back burners, because I think that would be a cool thing to see, where all these women have ended up in about a year or so.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's been my thing that's come to a nice little ribbon closed up, all set and done, and now it's back to crafting bids. What about you guys?
I'm working on some stuff. I'm working on a cool vid coming up here. I'm doing slimes or oozes with colored glue sticks.
Yeah, that's right.
So pretty cool. I also have a new purple worm coming up. So awesome. And I'm going to use a super cool material that you can make yourself to make the worm. So this is going to be cool. You're going to want to see this vid because this is like a game changer type of material. So yeah, I'm excited to show you guys this. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah.
It's kind of heresy, isn't it? That's what we all built first. The first thing I built.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, that vid will still definitely be there, that purple worm vid. And we see people, build it every day. I see new ones every day. So I think it's fantastic that I've inspired so many people with it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's definitely one of the classics, that's for sure.
Thanks.
Absolutely. We should have, compare, if someone builds the first and the second, have them post the two. That'd be fun to see,
that's
too.
a great idea. That's
That
a
would be
great
really cool to
idea.
see.
Yeah.
And real quick, on the TCG Facebook group, as we speak, we're throwing up the Zoom link. Zoom is really lightweight. You don't have to install anything. So if you want to call in and talk for a little bit, you just click that link and do what it says, and you'll join us.
Yep. And it's getting posted under my account, even though Anne's typing it in for us right now. So that'll work.
Yeah, very cool.
And so for me right now, I've been working on a project that was supposed to be like my 100th episode. I've been working on it for like 2 years. It's an Imperator Titan. So anyone familiar with 40K?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it'll be 38 inches tall, and I'm using Arduino boards to control the shoulders and the elbows, so it'll be able to move its guns.
Wow.
It won't walk, but and obviously it's just going to be used as terrain.
Yeah, that is awesome.
It's
that's
massive.
Awesome.
Cool.
The feet will have panels that slide up that allow tack marines in there, just like the real rules or the lore would have.
Awesome.
But that project has been kicking my ass for 2 years, and just because it's enormous, it's probably like 5 videos worth of material, honestly, to get through.
Right. That's going to be amazing.
That's gonna be
an
really
amazing
cool to
project.
see.
We have a new crafter that wants to know what tips you can provide for someone who thinks that crafting terrain is daunting, and what would be the simplest thing to try.
That's
That's a good
a
one.
great question.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Why don't you take it, V?
Start small. No pun intended. Find maybe a piece of scatter among the crafting channels that looks approachable. That way it kind of gets your hands dirty without it being overwhelming. Once you're getting more comfortable with using the tools of the trade, the hot glue gun, the paints, everything like that, then you can start looking at bigger projects and bigger things to create and add on to. But just that one little piece of scatter put on that table can make all of the difference for your players. So it doesn't have to be a huge, massive piece of tile or terrain or anything like that. Just that little something can be a great way to get you into it.
Right, and like you say, if you make some scatter like that, even if you just draw on a dry erase board or whatever, you can put that little scatter down, and it really makes a big difference. It's amazing how much of a difference it makes.
Yeah.
Even not having a whole set up, set up
Yeah.
terrain.
It will spur your players' imaginations.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And they come up with things that they wouldn't, you know, when you're playing theater of the mind, you know, it's hard to keep all that kind of area in your mind, you know, and you know, you have to keep it very simple. But with that, you know, you can add all these little details that really bring out the player's imagination on what their character does or where they go and that kind of thing. So that's what's fun with it. I kind of say, my kind of thing is make what you need, right? So if you want to run like a goblin lair, okay, maybe that's your first adventure for your players. Make a few cave tiles, maybe even out of cardboard. You don't have to do foam or anything, get fancy. Just do some cardboard like I did with my basic 2.5D. It's super simple to do. Make some cardboard caves. Make a little cave entrance. You know, some rock piles out of, you know, almost anything. You know, spare styrofoam or whatever. Put some glue on it and some sand, and you're good to go. You know, maybe a few little pieces of furniture out of sticks. Yep. And just keep it simple. You know, goblins aren't, you know, they're not great. You know, they're not great.
They're not interior decorators.
Yeah, they're not interior decorators. They're not going to have these fantastic cityscapes or whatever. Just make some junk that you might find in a goblin lair. You know, maybe a well or a pit or something. Yeah. And you can do like a pit by just having a ring around, you know, a piece, and then it's just flat, but you paint it black and it looks like a pit. You know, that you don't have to have a literal pit. But yeah, just that kind of stuff. That's how and that's actually how I approach my crafting for my games. Like, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do next? And then I work on crafting that stuff, and then you start to build up what you have in your collection. So then you can utilize that other stuff in you know, mix it in. So then you're just crafting stuff that's specific to the adventure, and I always try to keep it modular so I can use it again. But yeah, I think that's my best thing, is like, craft what you need. Don't worry about making, you know, 100 tiles or whatever. You know, make the 6 tiles you need. You make the 6 tiles you need for the adventure, and then some little goblin junk that's scattered around the cave, and your players will have a freaking fantastic time doing that. I'm telling you.
Definitely.
So what do you say, Bill?
You nailed it all. Make what you need, and the way I started was his original tiles. Find his oldest videos. Single corrugated cardboard and hot glue. Make a big room tile for your final encounter for the night. Doesn't need to be a whole dungeon or anything.
Nope.
Doesn't need to be gridded. Probably shouldn't be gridded, right?
Right.
But in any case, yeah, keep it simple and make one room.
Yes, exactly.
Do we have sound on them or no?
Let's see.
It says to mute him.
Here.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, we might need to turn
TNT like button.
So you couldn't make it.
I couldn't make it. Not for any reason that wasn't noble.
We were trying to craft a teleporter, but we just didn't get it quite done in time. So yeah.
My time machine is just malfunctioning. You know. I just came back from 1753, and it wasn't.
Yeah, we're just gonna turn you up a little bit so we can.
So we can hear you. He can hear you on this end.
Yeah.
We don't get an echo, will we?
I don't think so.
Can you hear me now?
We should be okay.
Hear you.
Yeah, it's like there's like slight technical foibles we gotta.
We can hear you, just making sure that the stream is getting
It's Crafter's Tavern. When is it not a technical foible?
It's like
It wouldn't be Crafter's Tavern if we didn't have a foible.
It's like, you know, it should come with a warning.
What is your #1 crafting tip?
Ooh. How about
Gareth,
Will
you
starts
want-
this time?
Gareth,
Gareth
you want to
should
go
start,
first?
yeah. Gareth,
Yeah,
you start
Gareth, you
with
go
that.
first.
Your #1 crafting
My
tip.
#1 crafting tip. Measure twice, cut once. Nice and simple.
I'll say measure once, cut once.
I'm kind of more in that school.
Make no mistakes.
Just making mistakes. I'm just that perfect.
This is why your videos need to be edited.
Right, dang it, this is the 3rd time I cut this. I can't get it straight. That's right, the magic of editing. That's right. You always cut it straight with the magic of editing, right?
It's beautiful.
Because you've done it
It's
10
magical.
times. You've done it 10 times.
Absolutely.
Perfect after the 10th time.
There's no oopsie.
People don't know I've painted this 15 times.
Alright, what about you?
Oh, geez. My #1 crafting tip. I would say that save junk if you have room for it. Okay, start a junk bin, and when you find cool caps, when you find stuff that people think is trash and throw it away and it's just cool shapes, save that stuff because that thing is going to be the perfect shape. One day that thing is going to be the perfect shape. Now, depending on the space you have, I have a whole basement, so I'm kind of lucky in that regard. But if you don't, just get a small bin and just weed it out when it fills up, and weed it out if you haven't used it in a year or something in there you haven't used in a year. Yeah. But I think that's a great crafting tip. Look with a crafter's eye at trash, because you will use it. And your airship with those little things from the kid
applesauce
the applesauce thing, just looks so great. They look like propellers, is perfect. So just little stuff like that can really be the magical element that you know, for your last crafts, or that you need for your crafts. So I would definitely, that's my big tip.
Yeah, mine is look at pictures. Just go on Google and look at pictures of something you're thinking of, because you'll find it helps you with shape, with color. It might even give you a completely different look than what you initially thought of, but it helps having that point of reference when you're getting into crafting something. That's usually my go-to.
That's fantastic. That's great. That's such an inspiration to look at pictures.
Yeah. Oh, I love doing it.
Yeah.
As Tarantino's good artists create, great artists steal.
Right. And we can all steal from each other. That's what's so great, you know. And
I'll borrow.
Or borrow, yeah. And you know, I love that nobody's crafts looked exactly the same. Like, I love seeing the different takes that people have on crafts. It's so amazing, and you guys keep sharing your pictures and you know, sharing with us and telling what you find out and things, because we don't know everything. You know, we're still learning with you guys. You know, and so. You know, I've found so many tips, you know, in the guild from people saying great little things they've discovered.
Every day you see results that are way beyond my capabilities.
Right. But, you know, also don't be discouraged, because really almost anything you put on the table is going to be better than having just a map. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If you feel, oh, I'm not an artist, I can't do this, you know, if you want to make stone texture, take, like, you know, gray paint, and sponge on some lighter gray paint. That's all you need to do. You know, if you're not an artist and you can't get all the little cracks and all the little, you know, the different color variations and all that stuff, just do 2 shades of gray. That's all you need to do. Don't sweat it, really. I'm telling you, because your players will love whatever you throw down, because it's way more than they were ever going to expect.
Yeah. And the one thing I hear a lot is people saying, I've made it, but I'm too afraid to post it. Post it. I mean, there are people who have shared things where they're almost making apologies for it.
Right,
sorry guys, this is the best I could do, but it came out looking really good. You're your own worst critic.
Oh yes,
give us a chance to see what you're coming up with, because more often than not, it's really cool.
And you know, all three of us see people's builds and we're like, damn, that's amazing. Like, I couldn't build that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're the end all be all of crafting. You know, it's like, so. Don't be discouraged. I mean, I'm inspired by this stuff. I'm not discouraged, so never be discouraged.
He cut out.
Some of my most popular videos are ones that I thought, nah, I don't think I really should be posting this. I think this probably looks a little bit stupid. But then it's like the most popular video.
It's crazy how that works. It's like, this one's going to be like, whatever. You're like, oh, maybe not.
Right.
You put your heart and soul into another one, it's
then there's the flip side of that coin.
Yeah, you can never always
spend months working on something, 300 views.
You try, you try to show what you think people will like, but you know, it might be that something that was just that extra thing you did that just you know, comes out amazing and people love it, and you know, so
Are there any collabs coming up? Someone's trying to get in on the inside.
Oh, inside scoop? The scoops?
Dash scoops.
Do they mean like between
all of y'all?
All y'all sitting here? Well, I mean, we just finished the one where we did the craft swap, which is so much fun to do.
Yeah,
I love doing that.
That
one.
was
that
fun.
One was
that was really fun.
So cool. I mean, I'm open to doing more, because it's just really cool to see.
It is fun. Yeah.
What happens with it?
It is fun.
Anything definitive? No, but I'm not saying no. I'm sure you guys aren't saying no to anything happening. So.
Yeah, I don't have anything definitive, but I do have kind of a busy month coming up, so I don't really have time for it this month. But in the future, I definitely want to do more.
Yeah, they're fun to do.
Well, we just finished our mini campaign.
Yeah.
Not a crafting video, but that was a lot of fun.
I was the end boss.
A bunch of you appeared in...
And he loved it.
All you guys, you all appeared in episode 100 somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't think any... I have some other things. Miniac, I'm doing something with him in the next few weeks.
Oh, that's awesome.
But as far as within the guild, nothing currently slated.
Yeah.
Right.
But there will be. That's one of the
Except top secret project number 1.
He's like top secret project. So in other words, maybe.
Don't mention the top secret project number 1, BMG. Oh, no! This is why I don't get invited to these parties.
Anything else?
I've noticed in some shops that terrain can be purchased or repurposed, usually at Hobby Lobby, garden markets, fairy garden. Is there any terrain you've found in different stores that you would recommend?
That's a good question.
Oh, that's good. Toy section. Walmart. You can actually find some toys that can surprisingly work really well. Joke kind of is if you're actually on the hunt for some terrain, you want to be able to buy it, carry a mini in your pocket. And kind of take it into the toy section and scale it around. I got for Christmas, and it was for me, that Harry Potter, Gryffindor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
set
I almost bought that.
that
Actually.
everyone was loving. That
I
was, that
almost
was
bought
my
that, yeah.
like one of my favorite Christmas presents. But that sucker, I mean, it's really well on to scale. Some people have chosen to repaint it and make it look more, you know, dark and whatever. But I mean, we use it just to display our minis half the time. But it's, yeah. But it came with bookcases and chairs and other things that work really well for furniture.
Right.
So things like that, go looking in the toy section if you're really wanting to find something quick where you don't necessarily have to build it yourself all the time.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a great tip. And also, like, secondhand stores, like junk toys there, you know. I found a bunch of, I do my Tilescapes blocks where I stamp on the blocks. I paint them black and stamp on them. They're great to use. But I found a big thing of those foam blocks for like dirt cheap at one of those, you know, one of those secondhand stores. So, and you can find all kinds of even broken toys like bits and bobs can be great for, you know, terrain and stuff. So, yeah, definitely check out your secondhand shops.
I've never gone secondhand shop diving or even like first-hand shop. I've seen how people do that. They'll take like a fairy house at Michael's. I've seen that one, and you paint it up, and it's a great idea. Makes short work. I just have never done it. What I have done is Legos Technics, so that Technics line, gears and stuff like that for a sci-fi build. I've used those. I've used Connects. Those make great greeble, which is it's a term that's like just the junk attached to a surface to make it look more sci-fi-y.
Oh, you've used those Wendy's Kids Toy stuff.
Wendy's
If
Kids
you've
Toy
never
stuff.
climbed into a recycling bin behind your local Kmart, you're not a real crafter.
Behind the local department store.
But yeah, the fairy stuff, a lot of times it's out of scale. Sometimes you can get lucky. And I have bought a few things, like I bought this mini chicken coop, which was kind of fun. I bought like these little bushes that were kind of cool. I bought a few things. Most of it I found that's not the right scale, or it looks a little goofy. So I generally don't use it, but sometimes you can get lucky and find stuff.
Fish aquarium. Whatever aisle has the fish aquarium stuff.
Oh, yeah. Because that's like get it
Well,
off
you know,
the
we love
hands.
our fish plants, so fish plants make great, you know, you can use those to make great scatter for your table. So.
Not actual
No,
plants.
don't grow them. Don't make yourself nuts trying to do bonsai on top of everything else. Forget it.
Grow your little, grow little
I'm growing
trees.
these great weeds.
I have shaped it for 3 years. Now it's ready for my D&D
I
table.
worked so hard on it. Oh my god, if anyone ever does that, I'm going to apologize profusely. That's not what I meant.
I'm going to be amazed.
This is why I need this type of
I want to
approach.
see a forest of self-grown bonsai trees. Be like, master.
Yes. Oh my god, that'd be hysterical.
This one's for Wylock. It says BMC foam versus Wylock real wood. What say you, Bill?
Not put on the spot or anything.
Oh,
BMC foam versus Wylock
Real wood.
real wood. Huh. Never done it with real wood before. Certainly would be.
Are they
a
talking
good
about the
base.
chipboard?
No, it says real wood, so I
Oh.
assume you mean like a 1/4 inch thick ply for your base, which would be, yeah, extremely strong. I mean, if you want walls and the versatility that clip-ons offer, then you go with me.
I wonder.
But if
Like
you want
deep
speed
wood for
and a
home.
real good-looking result, can't go wrong with Blackmagic Craft either. It just depends on what's important to you and how much time you like to spend crafting. I like the tedium. It's not work to me. It's fun. So cutting 164 game spaces, it's cathartic or therapeutic, whatever. Yeah. Some people hate that, so don't do it.
Or, you know, the whole, like, line that both.
Yeah,
You got both.
it really depends what you want. I mean, if you're gonna do foam, you need to have an outlay for money for the tools if you're comfortable with that. And you know, I mean, it looks great, but there's other quicker ways to do it. You know, so it all depends. You know what you're looking for. Now with my tilescapes, I can crank those out so fast because I just stamp on there and I'm done. And it gives me a satisfactory look that I like. Now it's not hyper realistic, right? Like Blackmagic Craft is looks a little more realistic, more like stone and everything with the foam. So it really depends how much time and care and that kind of thing, because it's not about speed for me as much as like doing other crafts.
Yeah, he followed up with no popsicle stick stuff.
Tavern tiles.
So you know, I got.
The worst.
So if you're doing foam tiles, you might have a gridded pattern or whatever on there. That's cool. It's a great gridded pattern. But with the tilescapes, I can make a stamp in 5 minutes, stamp out 10 tiles or whatever with a totally new pattern. That's not grids. It's just some other cool pattern that I've made up for this adventure. And that would be really hard to do, like carving into foam, like for every adventure you do, like to have a different stone floor. So it really depends like what you're going after, how realistic you want it to be, if you want to spend the money on the tools. So there's those things you got to look at. But yeah, so I mean, each crafter makes up their own mind, and then you can also like mix and match. You can do different kinds of mix and match, right?
We're completely blended. We absolutely have Blackmagic Craft. We have your dungeon tiles, and they get put together all the time, and it's crazy the different permutations you can get out of it, and it creates a different look each time. So, seriously, why not both? That's really where I kind of sit on it. Make whatever you want and see how it works together.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like an adventure I ran recently that V was in.
Yeah.
I did a cave system. And I didn't do the standard 2.5D tiles. I made the tiles out of cardboard, but I covered it with toilet paper and that kind of thing and made it look more like an actual cavern setup as opposed to just the regular 2.5D. So that was a game I was going to run multiple times, that kind of thing. So yeah, you can mix and match, you can change it up, you can put the two together. It really, it all works really. I mean, so yeah, if you want to do, make a hyper realistic dungeon, with Blackmagic Craft tiles and then add some tilescapes or Bill's tiles, or you can just mix all that stuff. It really doesn't matter. Yeah.
He said he did a follow-up to saying no, more like a collaboration versus video.
Oh, he wants a craft swap type of a craft off.
Yeah, we talked about that 3 or 4 times in the past, but has not come to fruition.
No,
We'll keep talking about it. We'll add it to the list.
And BMC's in the chat, and he says it's really bizarro to see DM Scotty without a DM Scotty shirt on.
Oh my God, that's true.
I have my Tyrannosaurus.
Bizarro, Scotty.
Bob Ross painting a prehistoric scene.
That's awesome. Oh my God, funny. I didn't think of that one.
Pretty little volcanoes.
Yeah.
You're like a raptor running around. I found one of these down at the local park.
It's a new pet. Getting ready for Troll. Come on.
He did 900 episodes. So Scotty, you're getting close.
I am going to surpass Bob Ross's 100 episodes.
Screw you, Bob Ross. No Afro-G.
That's gotta be a big celebration.
There's a new hair in town.
I know.
Oh my God.
Jeez. I can't believe I've done this many.
You're over 600.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in the 700s. Yeah.
700. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody asked earlier, is there any chance for any steampunk-inspired stuff to come out
Quite
for
possibly.
crafting videos?
Bill's done some stuff.
So I thought that I did.
Oh, that's right. Oh my god, I forgot about that one.
Apparently,
You had all the bells and whistles.
people are very opinionated as to what the word steampunk means.
You have to be
So
careful.
don't just put gears and
On
pipes
things.
on things and call it steampunk. I made steampunk tiles a bunch of episodes back. I don't remember. A lot of comments and stuff, and I addressed it in my top 10 screw-ups video. So if any of you do go for it, lesson learned.
I'm kind of scared now.
Well, I think it's the concept it has to have
Oh, hell no.
to it.
Yes, it has to serve a
So,
function.
serve a function, and then it can qualify. You can't just go, here's a gear, here's a cog, it's steampunk.
Right.
But maybe it did have some kind of function.
Well, yeah, maybe it just fell apart and you just didn't realize it. It was a puzzle, you had to put it together.
Well, you know, we
That's what
make
he's
these
known for
videos and
now.
we have ideas and we throw them out there, and sometimes you people, everybody likes them better than others, but
Yeah.
you know.
Gareth, what about you?
What about me? What?
Steampunk!
The question.
Steampunk. The question, the steampunk
Any
question.
steampunk in your future?
I think so, yes. But I'm trying to put some time distance between one-off video and mine.
That sounds about right.
No guilt by association!
He's full of it.
Let the hurt go away.
Yeah, that's the past. Just let go.
Now, I love everything that Bill does, and it's like, you know, but that, you know, obviously, you know, people get very protective over things that they like, and if you kind of step on it by accident,
Yeah, well, and I respect
You
it.
know, then-
I'm a snob about certain things, absolutely. So I like
Of
that. I
course.
appreciate it. I learned.
We all did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
we learned to do.
Vicarious.
What do you...
Yeah, no, because I'm about to change the way my channel, like, I'm basically changing my channel, and so there's going to be more forays into sci-fi, into steampunk, high fantasy, low fantasy, you know, all these different things. So I definitely will be approaching that from a more, you know, in a different way to what I've been doing. And like Scotty, you know, transitions from his original tiles to what he does now. That's kind of what I'm doing. A lot of obviously the little bits of furniture and everything are all still going to be compatible and will still work and everything, but the fundamental way that I do tiles is basically changing. And so I'm adapting the channel to that. I've already been shooting a whole lot of videos, and that's why there's just a pile of stuff behind me. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be good. You know, and because yeah, it's come to a point where I needed to change what I was doing, because most of what I'm doing now I'm not actually using much. And I need to be creating things that I'll actually be using. And I believe it's something other people would want to use as well. And there's a variety of circumstances around why you would be using it in this way. Yeah, so that's what's happening on my side. Videos have not been coming out as frequently on my channel recently because I'm shifting gears and I'm changing what I'm doing. But I'm still going to be the cheap, easy, oh, I can do that, you know, sort of motif.
Walked into that
I
one.
feel burned. Where's the aloe vera?
That sounds exciting, though.
Yeah.
No, not the cheap and easy part, but but seeing other things come
Well,
along.
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
guys will be interested in this stuff because Gareth has confided in us in some of the stuff, and it's a really interesting ideas. So make sure to check it out.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I'm all about, like, how can I again, it will be something where I'm presenting you with ideas. So you don't necessarily need to make that craft, but you can use elements of what I'm doing in other things. But I still need a vehicle to present those ideas to people, plus bring other people into the craft, which normally would not either want to use miniatures or want else and that sort of thing. This will hopefully give them an avenue to actually do that in the game.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the whole thing we're all doing. Like, we put something out there. It's like, hey, here's an idea. Go with it.
Right.
You know, it's
right.
like, yeah, we might say this is what we end up with, but what you end up with is going to be different. It's going to be yours in the long run.
Right. Oh yeah, totally.
What is the best, most recent innovation for crafting?
Oh,
That's an interesting question.
One.
Sure, Bonder.
Sure, Bonder.
Sure, Bonder.
Well, I mean, we're definitely, in our house we have a 3D printer, so we're definitely 3D printer as a tool. It's helped out a lot with printing smaller items that I want to incorporate into a craft, but I don't want to put the time into trying to figure out how to make a tiny window with 18 different panes in it. So that's definitely been one of those tools I think a lot of people have started to get into and are starting to embrace and see. And it's, you can either print out this tiny little thing or you can print out something bigger. It's got a lot of options for you once you figure out how to use it and get it going. So I think for us that would probably be the newest innovation that we've kind of taken on and brought into what I do with the channel and everything like that for crafts.
Right. I really haven't
We spoke
shown much.
What was that, Garrett?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, we actually spoke about 3D printers in a Crafters Tavern, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, when they were about $2,000 a shot. And a lot of the time, what we spoke about then, what people would use it for, is what people are using it for now. Once it's dropped down to that $200, $300 level, where you can get a 3D printer and it's not expensive to run it, people are making the little fiddly bits and pieces of things that it's quicker to print just a quick layer of little bits and pieces than it is to actually craft all of those, which for you, when you're putting something together, you may not want to be spending hours on the fiddly bits. You just want to put a handle on the door. You've cut out your door, you just want to stick a handle on it. And that's what I think a lot of people are using it for. And also to, experiment with minis and do that kind of thing. Get, like the new Roderick the Ranger, which, that is a 3D printed miniature, which is, people can then start to experiment with things and share crafts with one another. Here, I put this together. But for me, I think one of the things that needs to kind of go with the 3D printer is a 3D scanner, so that someone like Scotty, who produces something, can scan that in and someone can then print it out on their printer. I think that's kind of when you've got that, then it will totally change the ball game in that regard. Because no longer will it be, I can't do that. It's like, well, I can just download that and print it. But yeah, I think 3D scanners still have a way to go. They're still quite expensive. But yeah, in terms of what has revolutionized craft other than that, I think is YouTube itself. Before YouTube, there would have been an eclectic collection of websites on various different crafting topics that people would probably not have found in the noise, whereas YouTube has given us a platform to share what we do and therefore build huge community around a small niche. I mean, people who craft for role-playing games is not a big group of people by comparison to people who craft for like war games and things like that. But the internet and YouTube has actually allowed us to show people that we do exist and we do these things, and that they can do it as well. So I think if we're talking digital technology, it's 3D printers and YouTube, and eventually 3D scanners will also form the big three.
Yeah, those are good points. Absolutely.
Getting all philosophical.
Don't get too deep.
So, Bill, you're kind of a little more intimately actually involved because you know you have the Wylock tiles that are actually 3D printable, which is pretty neat.
Yeah. The Ender 3, I think, is the new darling for 3D printers in that $200 range. So anyone looking to get in, I think that's what you should look at. And there's the new sister group, the Tabletop 3D Printers Guild, that just started up, right? Daniel Herrero's initiative. Yeah. So if you're interested in the whole hobby, you should definitely check out that group.
Absolutely.
Yep. But yeah, True Tiles have sold well. People are interested in it.
Yeah, that's cool. Mm-hmm. The way I prefer to use it is I prefer to make most of the big stuff myself, and then some of that little minutia stuff is great to print on the printer. You know, like sometimes furniture or little trinkets you might use on other. Like I printed. I like to use lights a lot in my games, like LED lights, because they're so small. You can get different colors. You can use all kinds of stuff. I've even touched in all my videos on using all the LED lights. But I've been printing like clear filament and putting lights in the stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you get really cool effects. Like I had an ice thing going on and like blue light inside of it, and it was just really so
that's awesome.
you can get fun effects like that, you know, that it'd be hard to craft a clear object, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, most of the stuff that I use in my games I do craft, but a 3D printer is super useful. And for my birthday, I got the Anycubic Photon, which is a resin printer. That thing is amazing. Like the detail is amazing on it. It's a bit of a pain to use because it has a tray of resin that's toxic and you can't touch it. You got to wear gloves and mask but the miniatures I printed are fantastic. No lines on the miniatures. They look like cast miniature. You know, I mean, it's amazing how good they are. So if you can afford it, it's about $500, which is very reasonable. For a print.
For what it is probably the most reasonable print of that type that you can get.
And it prints amazing. I'm just blown away. And it only has one moving piece. You know, printers can get out of whack. They got the XYZ, you know, all these axes, and it gets out of whack, and you get all this stuff. But the resin printer has one thing, a plate that goes down and up. That's it. There's no moving parts to get out of whack. I mean, once you set it, it's pretty much good. Once you set the height where the plate touches the LED screen, where it shoots the light into the resin and cures it, that's it. You don't have to worry about this axis is out of line and this is messed up and
recalibrating everything.
And another cool thing about it is if it misprints, it's not like a regular printer with the spool where it just diarrhea's everywhere on your print plate.
Yeah, you didn't want a nest.
It's like, oh, okay, I got this thing and then this big nest of crap.
Yeah.
The resin printer, what happens if it doesn't stick to the build plate when it touches the screen, it pulls it up. If it doesn't stick to the build plate, it just cures the resin on the screen. So you just basically scrape that off and you're done. Like there's no big pile of crap that misprint. So
more wasted resin.
Yeah, so that's another thing about it, and it's pretty amazing. I'm going to do a video here in the near future, kind of showing a little bit about it, but I'm blown away by it. Yeah, so if you're looking, if you have that kind of money to spend, or it's a birthday and you can talk a spouse into it, like I did.
The other thing is if you were printing minis.
Yes, it's
so
great for minis.
the time it takes to print one miniature is the same time it takes to print a squad.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can print 6 or 7 minis at the same time.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to print minis, I highly recommend it.
So at risk of not repeating everything everyone else has said, I'll give 2 more specific examples. I thought the recent Black Magic Craft modular ruins were a really great idea to do flavorful walls around those tiles. And there's a lot of techniques in there that you can apply to, like, I'm hoping to make some fantasy Kings of War scatter terrain with the bricks and everything. And then I'm also pretty proud of the cardboard lock concept. It's not new, it's just biscuit joining from carpentry, right?
It's a great
Apply
idea.
to
It's
tiles.
fantastic.
That's a great
because
idea.
It solves one of the issues.
Yeah.
Biscuits.
Are we gonna get a sexy craft time too, Scotty? Starring the other big.
Oh
Are you
no!
ready for it?
Oh god! I'm turning off.
I said no, so I guess I can't.
You get another beer first.
I was gonna say I need more to drink for this.
Maybe later tonight, I'll have a personal show.
It's like when people ask, "Are
The
you doing your
$5
quick
tip
save?"
button will get me to.
Yes,
There you
I
go.
stopped.
Super chat that one.
The more fives you put in there, the better show you're gonna get.
Wow.
Oh God.
Can we cut that out?
Actually, the ones left to embarrass themselves are Jeremy and you.
True.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're gonna get Jeremy to embarrass himself.
I don't.
Collab!
I think you scared him out of the chat.
They're leaving in droves.
They left.
I'm not twerking, okay? It's all right. You don't have to leave. No twerking.
Oh, we're down to 4 viewers.
No, I did that whole like monkey bread thing. I did that, remember?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, with John. I did the monkey bread thing with John, so that kind of got a little goofy. So it is truly just Jeremy's left.
Jeremy's from Canada. He still has dignity.
Jeremy's from Canada. He still has dignity.
Hasn't quite lost it yet.
What has been your favorite project?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Wow.
I got mine.
Under the
Yes,
tavern.
go.
My void shield generator. The
Yeah,
one
that's
with the-
amazing.
It was a really cool idea I saw on the Facebook group, the 40K Facebook group. Guy's name was Matthew Bain, I think. But using those icicle lights was that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's inspired. That looks really cool. That looks really cool. My favorite project. You know, I love them all. I love crafting so much. It's like hard to choose.
Sophie's choicing
It's so
us.
It's hard to choose. I think I would have to say more of a group of crafting. I really like the tilescapes, the isometric thing, because it's just really worked out great for my games. So that whole idea of I mean, basically we were doing the isometric thing. I mean, you do it too. We're all kind of doing it, but just the no walls really helps with my layouts. Like I can just slap stuff down. I don't have to worry about walls and that kind of thing. And then I have the little things around that kind of archways or that kind of thing help define the space. So I think that's probably been my favorite idea, and that's the way I've been playing for several years now. So
Yeah. I think for me it'd have to be like the trees and the magic hedge that I made a while back, because those are something every single time they've gone on the table,
yeah,
it gets a reaction. And for me, that's just like going back to what I used to do with flowers. So it's just, it's
Right.
fun to see how that worked into what's on the table. And there is something coming. It's actually going up on Monday. It's something that I made that I'm really excited for everyone to see, because that's probably like my latest, newest half.
Oh,
so
cool! That's awesome.
check back Monday and you'll see what I'm talking about.
That's
'cause
awesome.
I was really, really excited for that one.
I just had a great idea for you, Scotty.
Oh yes.
Lay out all your crafts so that people can see everything that you've made over like 700 videos.
Oh, that's an amazing idea.
That's a cool idea. See, this is why they pay me the big
Yeah,
bucks.
sure.
I'm actually working
Put it back on.
right now. I'm working on a game room. So I ordered the table of ultimate gaming. I got on the Kickstarter, and I was like the very tail end of that. So I haven't got my table yet, but I'm converting a room upstairs to be the game room. So I'm excited about that. So maybe when I get that all set up,
Road trip.
I'll put all the crafts out and just show everything.
Well, I invaded your basement.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
you
did.
did,
Yeah.
And I think I filmed the entire thing.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, so if you're interested, Wildlife has a video where it came into my basement. I showed him all my stuff. Most of it's in like packed up in plastic boxes, you know, so I have like categorized, like all the pillars are in this box, all the, you know, the tortured implements are in this box, you know, that kind of thing. So,
well, I mean, it would be a significant amount of space. You need like the local town hall to lay all of it out.
I should put an end to end and see how far down the street I can go.
God, that'd be fun.
That's right.
The longest length of terrain layout.
And I'm sure, you know, we think some of you obviously made multiples, so you know there's that as well. It's like not just, you know, making one pillar or whatever. You could have made 30 or 40.
Oh, totally, yeah. Like it's not just one thing, right, of the type. Oh yeah.
Or just one huge diorama of everything you've built.
That would be sweet. Yeah.
There should be a GoFundMe campaign. Everyone drops $1, and Scotty has to hire the local town hall to lay out all his stuff.
According to the elemental plane.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, here's the prime material plane. Then we have the astral plane. Then we have.
And you can just see the local news, like a local crafter runs a mountain town hall. Funded by overseas investors.
Yep.
That would be really cool to see
That would.
happen, though.
That would.
It's like,
That is a neat idea.
Yeah.
That is a neat idea.
I don't know. That might happen.
So when I do come over there, that's the project we have to do, is lay out all your stuff all over the street.
I wonder how much of my yard I could fill if I just put all this stuff out.
Oh my gosh.
Most of my stuff fits on that wall.
Oh god,
Yeah,
that would be
jeez.
bad. Yeah,
Especially in Ohio, that's all it does is rain.
like the local high school, like football field or something, but it has to be domed.
It must be the inside.
Yeah, right?
It must be an enclosed space.
What is an older project you'd like to do over again now that your skills have evolved?
Well,
Are you saying he was unskilled to begin with?
Stay tuned.
It's not insinuating. I don't know. What would I go back to? Well, I kind of redid the spiral staircase because those were the original videos.
Yeah.
But then going back to make it again as a prize for someone for a contest that I did tweak it a little bit, and I was happy with how it came out that go around.
Right.
So it never hurts to go back and revisit something you've done. Just because you've done it and you've taped it and you put it out there, it doesn't make it sacrosanct that it has to stay that way.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so-
totally right. Yeah.
That's probably when I'd go back and maybe do another actual true video on, as opposed to just recording it during
Right.
a hangout type
Right,
of thing, which is
right.
what I think I did before.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Scotty redid his original video.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know, yeah, I did redo my original video. It's kind of funny. You know, I've kind of done that actually. Like I've reinvented myself a couple times. Like I did the 2.5D, and then I did the next, and then I did the tilescapes. So I have kind of done that.
And to be totally honest, I reinvented Scotty's videos.
Right.
Well, that's how it works.
That's how it works.
So I was talking earlier about the purple worm. I wanted to do the purple worm again, but I have this new crafting material I want to show you that's pretty amazing. And I wanted to feature the purple worm as something I made with it. And so that's gonna be the new craft, the new thing I update. So there's nothing wrong with the old purple worm. It's a great way to make it, and people still make it, and it still looks great. So, but I thought it'd be interesting to do kind of like an update. Like here's the one I did, and here's one you could do now.
Is that a super chat that just popped up?
Dr. Fun just donated $2 to your Show Scotty Stuff
We got
campaign.
$2 in the kit.
Calling it the Tabletop Grafter Guild Museum.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh wow! Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be so amazing.
Jeez.
It'll become a Dayton national treasure.
I so want to live there. I so want to live there. I'd be happy to retire. I'll just be the museum curator.
Literally.
Who's this old guy?
What about you, Bill? What would you go back to?
You know, my early episodes were really bad. They're hard to watch now because I had no idea what I was doing with making videos. You know, the colors are off. My head is in the wrong place. But I've revisited Dungeon Tiles enough, so I think the functioning waterfall, I made some mistakes in that, and I didn't know how to do exterior terrain yet, like how to really do a rock face and flock and everything. That could have been a lot better. So yeah, that I think it's episode 74, which has 520,000 views.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know what happens.
That's crazy.
Some kind of spiral.
Fountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Alright, Gareth has to answer now.
What's now? Someone asked me a question.
What would you go back to? What would you revisit and redo now that you've done things?
I'm redoing Under the Tavern.
The Tavern?
I'm redoing the whole thing.
That'll be cool.
In deeper Under the Tavern. So basically redo the original adventure, then add 3 levels.
Nice. Wow, very awesome. Very awesome.
So you basically to the tavern that you left years ago, and the tavern keep brings you back and says like no more crap's going on. So you venture back down, and of course the dungeon has changed over time. So things have collapsed and moved, and other spaces have opened up. So you revisit the same thing, but it's like basically there's more to it, which was obviously hinted at in the original adventure. And when it spoke in the diary of the prison, everyone thought that the prison was what the bad guy was captured in the statue, but that's not what the prison actually was. It actually hints to something even deeper down. But anyway, that's enough about me.
And remember, anyone can call in. You have the Zoom link over on the Facebook page, so it's not just us. If you want to call in.
Yeah, you can jump right in and start chatting.
Someone wants to know what your favorite role-playing game is.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I have to think.
D&D 5th for me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that too. Yeah, once we transitioned over, that one clicked, and
we were just talking about this before the
literally.
Yeah, it's funny we were just talking about it. Yeah,
we dabbled into other systems and found things we liked, and but I just keep coming back to 5th when I want just to come home and really enjoy myself.
Veg out.
Yeah, it really feels like home when you come to 5th.
Yeah.
But it's got those modern upgrades for systems that really it still feels like D&D, but it has that enough modern thrown into it to please people who are more into the kind of the more role-playing systems and that kind of thing. Yeah. So I think it's a really happy medium as far as the systems. I think I'm gonna get smacked over this, but I think that 5th edition is probably about the best D&D we're gonna get. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not smacking you. They've given it a lot of
I think as far as D&D goes, if you want to play D&D,
that's the one.
5th is about as good as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
If you like more mod, I mean, there are those diehard people that like the original D&D, and that's totally fine. I'm not into any kind of edition boards or anything. I'm saying play what you want to play. But as far as I'm concerned, I think the 5e gives you what the players want and what the DM wants. So, yeah.
Somebody said the artwork behind you looks pixelated.
Probably because it's a bunch of squares.
Oh yeah, it is.
Literally a bunch of squares.
Are you ever going to make a giant craft at a convention?
Oh, I want to make a wager on what Garrett's favorite RPG system is.
Stop putting your money where your mouth is. It has to have a number 7 in it.
There it is.
$7 for 70 system. There you go.
Yes.
Only because it's a mixture of all the rules that I like in other games. I like this, and this, and I want to put them all into one game. So there's aspects of D&D that I like that's in there. There's aspects of White Wolf games. There's aspects of Era. There's all kinds of stuff that's in there. Dungeon Crawl classics, you name it. picked and poked and found things that I like, and it's basically rolled into that. So that's why I like it. But for me, it's like if you say D&D, I like D&D no matter what the edition is. Basically, it's like Star Wars. You like the first 3 films, and it's Star Wars. You can't, like, if someone asks you, well, which is the best Star Wars, it's like, it's one thing. It's just one thing. I can't, which is your favorite child?
right.
Pick one. Now bag the other one.
Right, that's a great point.
Someone said he requested to join the chat, and he didn't.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I think that the role playing in general has a lot, obviously, to owe to Dungeons and Dragons, but obviously Dungeons and Dragons,
Totally.
There's things it can't do that other games do very well. And Dungeons and Dragons, as Dave Fryan over on Nerdhockey says, Dungeons and Dragons does Dungeons and Dragons very well, but it doesn't do other things very well. There are other things that do other genres very well. So, and really to pick and choose is to pick and choose what genre you like, because if you like space battle games, that's not D&D.
Right.
So therefore your choice is really based on what you like. And if you don't like fantasy running around orcs and elves and things, you probably won't like D&D. But I'm a connoisseur of all things role-playing games, so I like a lot of different games.
I agree. I'm the same.
Even weird stuff. I'm busy reading the Baron von Munchausen one, which is quite out there.
DMG, you got somebody who's running your Under the Tavern module this weekend.
Oh, that's
good. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
DMG. Nice.
There's been a few that have been on Twitch, and Halloweenville's been uploading videos to his local game store one. So there's quite a few people that have played it. It's very interesting as a person who's written a module to watch people actually play it and see what they do. And it's like, things that they're doing that there's no way you would have anticipated that someone would actually do that. And it makes it very interesting because that's, now when I do the revisiting the thing, I'm taking that into account what certain things people have probably done. And have to think about that instead of years later, what does this place look like?
We're getting the place. It's too dark.
Yeah. Maybe turn the light on too.
Dr. Fun just changed his donation from $2 to $5.
Ooh.
Oh, well, thank you.
I think I take it seriously.
Will you ever come to Florida? And can I call in? Well, we put the link in there, so you should be able to call in. Someone wants to know what your favorite type of terrain is.
Oh, my favorite type?
Like rock, stone, city.
Oh, okay.
Rock, stone is the same thing. Ignore that example.
So like forest, desert, city.
Yeah.
Jungle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard.
The terrain and tiles.
Yeah, I like changing it.
Dr. Fun.
I don't like just having the gray, drab dungeons every time you adventure. I like having different colored dungeons. I've done blue-gray, sandstone, all different colors, and that really changes the feel of it. I recently ran a adventure where it was like a jungle temple, and I had like sandstone kind of tiles and blocks, and it was frozen, so I had like snow drifts and stuff inside of it, and it was a really cool. I also used blue lights on it, and it was a really cool, effect and feeling for those sandstone tiles with the snow and stuff on it, and the ice. So I love mixing and matching it up and changing it up, because if you just go into the gray drab dungeons every time, it's just gray drab dungeons. It's to me it's much more interesting to do some outdoor adventures, to do some other kind of stonework, to do other. Lava or ice or water or, other different kinds of environments really spice it up.
I like drab, gray dungeons. Every time. I will bring you down.
Never mind what I just said.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing.
I think we have to go like forest and jungle.
Yeah.
I love working with that stuff because that's, you get your colors, but you also get like your stonework. It's like you get everything.
Right, you can mix and match.
Really
Yeah, that's
in
good.
there.
You get the whole spectrum
Yeah.
of colors. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful death.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Tall terrain. Tall terrain can be really, really fun. Scenic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Asking about me coming to Florida?
I guess it's an open question for anyone.
Oh, okay.
Any of y'all planning on going to
it's-
Florida on convention?
That's really south for me,
Yeah.
but I do go to Mace in North Carolina if you'd be willing to come up. It's a small convention, but it's fantastic. The people are wonderful. I had a great time there. I ran games. I got to meet fans who got to play in my games and that kind of thing. I actually did terrain workshops there because they love terrain builders at Mace. So, yeah, if you'd be willing to come in November to come to Mace, I'm going to have a new game doing. It's going to be a pulp game where the adventurers are drilling to the center of the earth. It's going to be like an under the earth kind of adventure. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to be really cool. I'm working on the drill machine that I'm going to use for the adventure.
Sweet. That's
and,
going to be awesome.
yeah, going to be so cool. So if you can possibly make it to that, it's plenty of lead time. So I'd love to see it. I'd love you to be in my game. So
Looks like we had a friend who joined.
Yeah.
oh, who we got?
Who jumped in?
Who jumped in? Can you hear us?
Can
We
hear
can
you?
see.
Yes.
There we go.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we do.
Sometimes.
Dr. Fun. DM's for a long, long time. I was bothering him last night, as a matter of fact, but I'm not going to say what we talked about.
What did we talk about?
Because it's not safe for crackers.
Let's just say one of my videos, the closed captioning didn't quite come out right. So.
Oh. Oh dear.
Yeah, let's just say the closed captioning didn't quite come out right. It was just pretty funny what it said. So.
Hey, Vanessa, I just wanted to ask you a question, and I actually messaged you, but I think your women's, incorporating more women into the app is really great, and I wanted to commend you for that, because I think that, let's say, non-toxic gamers really invite, minorities and women and all this kind of stuff. One quick question, have you ever encountered a lot of let's say, discrimination in the group? Because it seems like it's a really fun group, but I don't, as a discipline, and I just want to praise you for that,
Thank you, first of all, for that. I can honestly say our group as a collective, like the Tabletop Crafters group, in the guild, Facebook, everything like that, has been extremely supportive. There have been wonderful people, wonderful comments, wonderful feedback, private messages, comments on the videos and everything like that. Unfortunately, yes, I have run into issues with comments from, random people just leaving their, 2 cents that really aren't worth the 2 cents type of thing. And it's sort of an unavoidable, inevitable factor. I was expecting it. There's some people who are comfortable in their zone, and change makes them uncomfortable. And when they're uncomfortable, they want to lash out, and I would get some comments, but luckily YouTube has it set up where you can filter and make sure those don't pop up and show. So, it was a risk I know I was going to be walking into when I started it, but to me it was far more worth being able to showcase these talented women and get them out there and get their works out there so people could be aware that they're there. Then for the 5 minutes I had to go through checking comments and everything, and then letting the ones that were great go through, and the ones that really needed to be reported and deleted got reported and deleted type of situation. But on a whole, our group's fantastic. There's always going to be those few rotten apples. That's something that's just going to be there. But it certainly wasn't anything that made me go running and think I'm never going to make another video again. So that's really kind of the best way to sum up the personal experience I had doing this work with it.
Well, it's really great that you're doing it, and you know, I hope to see more of all people in this stuff Scotty started, because it's
I so
really
agree. I couldn't agree
awesome.
more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there's just so many crackers you can take, Scotty. My joke, my joke. That was my joke.
Wait for this to get cleared up. Oh my god.
That is my joke, my joke. I take the credit for it. Send me the hate mail. I like it. I roll around in it.
Oh my god, that's hysterical.
And click on his link in the chat window.
Go right ahead. I don't care. I get it anyway from my students, so I don't care.
Oh my gosh, we have another person who jumped in?
Yeah, someone else joined in.
Who do we have now?
I don't know what's going on.
Dr. Deer,
We can see you, but we can't hear you.
he's muted.
Hi, yeah, this is Dan.
Hey, hey, nice to meet you.
Well, I was trying to cut out the background noise. I didn't want to
Oh,
interrupt.
thanks.
But yeah, my name's Dan Meyer, Dr. DM. So I wanted to thank you guys. You've really inspired me to get back into the game. I am for years, played since I was 15, which is 35 years now. And so when I started watching your videos, it kind of brought back a little bit of that spark. And I've passed it on to my kids, and we game a couple times a month, and using a lot of the things that you guys have shown me how to make. And so it's in a way, it's really brought the family closer together.
Awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also it's brought people together across the world as well. I mean, I'm friends with Bill and Scotty. I've never actually physically been in their presence, but we are actually friends.
Yeah.
That situation was supposed to be rectified. I was supposed to be on this couch there with him.
Didn't quite happen.
It didn't quite happen that way, but it will happen in the next while. So,
What part of Australia you in?
Sydney.
Sydney. Okay, I've been to Hobart, Tasmania.
Oh yeah.
But
That's way down on the small island off the coast.
yeah, my favorite place I've visited around the world. So when I was in
I've traveled extensively in Queensland and New South Wales, but I haven't actually been to Tasmania yet. It is on my bucket list of Australian things to do.
Tasmanian devils are not the cute little things in the video in the cartoon. Telling you.
I think the honey badgers of Australia.
Honey badgers don't care.
Honey badger don't care.
It's the drop bears you have to worry about.
Isn't that like basically you live there and expect something to kill you eventually?
Yeah, it's like
In the water, on the land, in the sky, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. You're gonna die, you just don't know which animal's gonna cause it.
Well, I was at a club the other day, and this just came down and just like, stuff you, man, you can't be in my territory, and it was just attacking me.
It sounds like Florida.
That's right. The only difference is you've got
The Australian.
the down under edition.
Everything in Florida tries to kill you.
Well, we'll try to kill you today.
God.
The heat, old people, alligators, Republicans, who knows?
So I was wondering if you had any advice for starting up your own channels. People, if they wanted to start up their own channels. I know I've done a couple of things on Twitch in the past just to try it out. Minimal amount of success. But if you had somebody who would like to do a little bit more like what you're doing.
Consistency
Yeah, that's
is very important, and And if you're just starting out and you've never done anything with video, sit in front of the camera for a few hours just talking to the camera, just actually talking to the camera is really the hardest thing in the beginning. So if you get that out of your system before you actually start making videos, your early videos will be much better than what ours were.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's harder than it would seem.
Yeah.
You can start up for almost free. I use Blender as my video editor, which is totally free, and I use Audacity for my audio processing, which is totally free. Photoshop CS2 is, you can download it. So for you can use for zero startup cost, you can have all the tools that you need.
Yeah, yeah.
My biggest advice is keep doing it. Like, it's so easy to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, oh, I don't feel like doing a video this week. I won't do it. And then the next week, and then the next week. That I've seen so many channels get started. They're exuberant, and then they realize how much work it is. Because what we do is a lot of work.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a lot of work, but it's a lot of work. You know, because there's some people that just like, hi, I'm going to talk in front of the camera for 10 minutes, blah blah blah. And there's my video. Mm-hmm. That's not us. Like, we're setting up, you know, getting the stuff, setting it up, filming it, editing it together to make sense, narrating it, all this stuff.
Deleting it, starting again.
getting it wrong, and then having to cut it because I didn't measure twice, like the MD said. So that's what I find.
You're able to
tenacity is the thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, definitely. If you're gonna do it, stick with it. And like my videos, my first videos, I watch them, I'm like, oh my god, they're so awful. I should take them down. And then it's like, I decide no, because people actually still watch them. Yeah. And it's where I came from. It's where I started. It's like my history. And I want to leave that.
The heart and soul of it.
Yeah, I want to leave that there. And it's like, here, I was there, and here I am now. Mm-hmm. And so, and I just kept making videos. People kept liking the videos. I kept making them. I was like, if you know, a few people liked them, I'm like, this is helping somebody. I'm making these videos. Yeah. And so
now, DM Scotty, you've had to quit your day job, right?
Yeah. No, I still have a day job. I still have a full-time job. Yeah. So yeah, it is like a part-time job. It really is, and DMG can tell you. But
I run 15 channels.
Yeah. I only run one. He runs 15. So, but yeah, tenacity. Stick with it. Don't say, oh, I'm not going to make a video. Even if you don't feel like making a video, make a video, because that's what happens. People start making it, they realize how much work it is, and they're like, I don't, you know, and you're not going to be like, you know, you're not going to get 100,000 subscribers in a month. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, I don't even have that. But anyways, you know, it's like you're not going to get a huge amount of subscribers. It's going to take time to build up. I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years.
Well, what I will say is it's much easier to grow now than it did 5 years ago. When Scotty started, no one else was doing it. So for him to get to 1,000 subscribers and 2,000 subscribers, that was a lot.
I was like, oh wow, I thought 100 people would like this. I had no idea.
Today, you can put out a video and get 100 subscribers in a day just by sharing it in the group. You know, people will, you know, you come onto here, there's a few new channels like the Crafting Vault. You know, that's a new channel. He's one of our youngest members, and he's running his own channel there. So, you know, those sort of channels are actually, you know, they're growing, and because of the community, you will grow much faster. Also, try to be yourself and be unique to what you do, because if you're just doing the same thing, it won't, you know, you need to be adding something to the conversation. So even if you're doing dungeon tiles, how are your dungeon tiles different to Wylock's, to Scotty's, to what V does, you know, all these sort of things. Think about that. Think about how you're kind of your point of difference to everyone else. Because I'm different to Scotty. Scotty's different to Wylock. Wylock's different to Black Magic Craft. Yet we all do the same thing.
Yeah, it's we're all doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, and we all have the same sort of all have the same sort of mindset. Don't spend a huge amount of money. You can use simple tools.
right.
That's right. Back to me being a cheap bastard.
And I wanted to throw in there. I've done a little bit of work that all four of you have done. I've made those things, and then I got to the point where I realized some of the stuff isn't compatible with the other things. Like it's modular, but it fits into your style of play, how you use it. And so, like I did the walls that Scotty had, and then some tiles that Wylock did. And so I can mix and match some of the stuff, but I found for advice for somebody who's really getting into it is, think about the concept on the table, because there are some things that don't quite fit with the style if you're going for a stylized look.
And like you said, if your style of running the game, not just your style of how you want to build stuff. Like for example, I've done some. I recently did a vertical encounter that I did horizontally. I have this technique where I do it horizontally. I did a video way back on it, but I have to do a new video on it because I kind of updated it. But it really works well. And then I don't have a huge piece of terrain that's 3 feet tall that I have to store somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I used a mat and did some pieces that I put down on it to simulate the cliff, and that's it. That's all I got to store. I can throw that all in a box. Yeah. So think about, that's a great point to think about how you want to run the game. Do you want a huge set piece every time that's giant and out of foam? Or do you want really modular where you can just take it all apart and throw it in a box? So, and my main thing is I always think about...
I think you offended him.
I always think about playability when I make stuff.
Absolutely.
It's a standing leaving ovation.
Well, I wanted to show you, like I took Wylock's tile and I did an idea from Black Magic Craft with the texturized rollers.
Yeah.
I went a little too brown, but I mean, you get the idea. So I'm really trying out a lot of different things that I've never worked with before. So that's what's the creative aspect is really neat for me.
I see you didn't use any glitter, so you didn't get anything from me.
Oh no, I got stuff from you. It's just not on that thing.
The glitter, because I always like to use glitter, and everyone hates it when I use glitter.
Yeah, totally the herpes of crafting. Yeah. And we had someone else join.
Is it that? Because I'm cheap.
Jumped in. Hello.
Say who you are.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. My name is Weston. I was just wondering if I could ask you guys a question or two.
Yes, please. Thanks for joining us.
So I started off with Scotty, and then I sort of moved into every one of you. And first off, I want to say thank you because I actually, when I first started Dungeon Mastering, it was only a year and a half ago, and I didn't actually think this would exist. I actually just YouTubed it, and I found one of Scotty's videos. So just the fact that it's there is really neat and has inspired me and a lot of other people I know. So thank you all very much. It's a huge deal. But I am actually about to do my first campaign with using actual terrain, and I felt through the whole summer I'm taking calculus and working, so I've got a lot on my plate, but I felt really overwhelmed because you always have the option of buying from Dwarven Forge, for example, if you don't have a lot of time, or all those different things you can do. But obviously, I want to craft terrain because it's way funner to more fun to explore you guys' videos and craft because you did it yourself, so it's a big deal. But anyways, I want to ask you about being so overwhelmed and just getting into it. Do you guys have any recommendations for buying/building? What would be faster to build versus buy? Any recommendations of struggle that you guys have had on that? Anything for a time crunch that you'd recommend?
Figure out your focal piece. Like start with what's going to be your focus. Like what is everyone's eyes going to be on first? The layout that can all still be done with grid. But if there's a magical door that you want your players to get through, you focus on that. So figure out what your key points are to your storyline, really, and work with those first, because then you can flesh out later on. to kind of pull back on having to create the entire world all at once.
I actually have a great.
That gets very overwhelming.
Consider where your combat is taking place. So, and the type of monsters you're throwing in. So if you're going to have something, some cave dwelling monster, build the cave because that's where they're going to fight them. Because that's what they're going to remember, that fighting that cave dwelling monster in the cave.
And just to sort of tie into that, if I could, I love terrain so much that it's so tempting to use, even for cities, for example, actual terrain and build out cities and so on and so forth. But obviously that's not entirely possible, especially when your players, say they want to go to some special shop and you can't invent that suddenly for terrain on the game board. So what do you, I know DM Scotty did a video on, he kind of answered a question like this a while back, but I kind of wanted to just go in depth a little bit more. Would you guys recommend ever exploring building cities in the future, or do you think it's just too overwhelming and there's too much of a need for improvisation to go into that? What's you guys' opinion on that?
I think there's definitely means to explore creating city terrain and giving it some modularity as well, so you can repurpose and reuse. Something as simple as figure out how to make a post but have the sign change. If you've ever been to Europe or older cities, you can walk through streets and notice similar looks to each other. What changes it are the little details. Someone left a broom outside. Someone has a cart sitting in a different spot. So, especially with what's going to be happening in September, we all know it's getting released, city terrain is going to become a relevant thing soon. But there's there's the mats that have the cobblestone already out. And you have Scotty's, like the Hollywood style, just, the facade.
The fronts, yeah.
So, I mean, there's ways you can...
I've tried that.
There's ways you can do
Works
it
really well.
Yeah.
Without, you don't have to build the entire alchemist area type of thing. You can figure out ways to shift it just enough so it looks different to function as what you need it for at that time without literally building a city and having to keep it on hand all the time.
And my answer would be, if you're retired and you have all day to make terrain, then make a city. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, just role play the city. Yeah. Like you don't have to put that. Like what I do is I mostly role play in the city, just theater of the mind it, because it's really, the spatial thing isn't really that important, right?
Yeah.
The spatial thing becomes important when the combat happens, when everybody wants to know where they're at. So what I do is I just, if a fight breaks out, maybe I'll lay down a city street and a few buildings. Like what I did was I had, not too long ago, I had the players roving through a town, and there was a rebellion going on, and they were fighting cultists and all this kind of thing. And what I did was I made fronts that lined the streets, like just generic fronts of buildings, and didn't do the insides. And so they were going down the street fighting the enemies, but I didn't have all that built out. I just had the fronts, the very basic fronts just lining the streets, and that really gave the feeling that they're in the city streets or town streets without having to build every single 3D building, that you can't see over anyway, and that kind of thing. So, or like I say, if they're just going shopping, just role play it, okay? Yeah. So like recent game, I had my players come back and they met this council, and then somebody was luring them to a bar to ambush them, right? So when they got to the bar,
I saw that in the video.
I started playing the ambush, and then when the fight broke out, I laid down the set. Like I laid down the tavern, the enemies, and all that stuff, and they caught the bar on fire. So they were in this blazing inferno. They totally hook, line, and sinker fell for it, right? This mage set them up, and they just didn't even question it. They just hook, line, and sinker fell for it. I thought they were gonna all TPK, but anyways, they managed to get out. It was nasty. They tried to get out. The doors were magically barred and glyphs, so they blew black when they touched the doors, and the windows shutters were, enemies outside shut the shutters, and they were, it was oh my god, they're all gonna die, but they managed to get out. But anyways, but that's what I did. I didn't lay out all the whole city, them going to the bar and all this stuff and talking to the council. I did all that, just role played all that. And then the bar, the important thing where you need to see where everybody is, where you need to know what's going on to play the combat out. That's when I laid down the tavern mat and put, I had all, basically what I'll do is I'll plan on encounters. Doesn't necessarily mean the players are going to do it, but if I plan on it, like the tavern I had pre-set up, I set it up, I have a staging table that I put off to the side where I stage stuff, and then I put it on the table. So here's the tavern, blah blah blah. So you can do that, and that's what I recommend instead of building out. Unless you have, like you say, you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So don't try to do that. Don't try to build out the entire city. It's kind of a fool's errand. And if you build out the great library that they're going to go to, they're going to go to the tavern.
Exactly.
They're not going to even go to the library. So why build that? Why build that out? And you don't need it tactically. If they're going to the library studying, why do you need to set them at a table with a book and like, okay, make your check or whatever. I'm here for 2 hours. I found out bobbly doo is doobly doo. You know, okay, let's leave the library. Did you need to build that? No, you didn't. It was fine role playing it. So that's my big advice, and that's exactly how I play. I don't build out cities.
Did you say you're a new DM?
You can also pull back, and instead of doing the minutia of the city, actually build small modular buildings that are like from Monopoly sets or something,
I've seen people
and you
do
can lay out a 3D map of the city. So then when you do have a library and you do have a castle and whatever, they're less interested in what's happening outside the city because they want to know what this big building over here is. And you can then use visual cues to say, okay, you want them to go to the library, so you make the library like a really well sculpted thing that's in the middle of all these hotels from Monopoly, and so that looks really interesting. And it's like you're basically railroading them towards what it is you want you to craft.
Or just a map. Use a map of the city. Like I'll use a parchment map. I'll soak it in coffee or paint it with light brown paint, and then just here's the map of the city. Where do you want to go? If you really want to have a visual reference, the map can be great. You just print it on a large piece of paper and just paint it or soak it in coffee.
Just to offer a different tack. You said you're a new DM?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is strictly my opinion. But whenever people PM me this question, my answer is, don't craft. Don't.
Really?
Yeah. You got enough to learn to come up to speed on.
It's true.
Learn what's important and what's not.
Yeah.
If you're a new DM, you're probably feeling like Scotty really touched on it. It's like, if I'm gonna model a library, then I ought to model the bookcases, and if I ought to model the bookcases, the lack of a table would imply that there isn't a table there, so I have to make that. You'll go into death spiral.
Yeah.
You got enough
Terrain
to learn
inception.
as a new DM.
And you'll never run a game.
Yes, about how to run a game.
True.
Go a few sessions. Don't even worry about crafting. And then when you do, presumably, do you want to make yourself a nice set of dungeon tiles, regardless of what approach you use? Do you?
Yeah. Probably. Yes.
So wouldn't it be a shame to make your very first set as your pride and joy, and then be done for? How old are you?
Yeah.
It'd be a shame.
I'm 20.
Yeah, so you'd have nothing left to make.
Yeah.
So you get some
Spread it out.
single corrugated cardboard, 2 shades of paint, sponge it on. It'll take 45 minutes to make a huge set of dungeon tiles that will look
cheap,
serviceable. They're fine. And then your labor of love over the months or years can be your real nice tile set that you want to make.
That's a good point.
That's a great point, Bill. Yeah.
Just because you can craft doesn't mean you have to. Is really what it boils down to.
Right. And craft what you need for the session. Like, don't craft. I'm gonna build this cool altar that I'm gonna need at the end of the campaign. I guess I want to build that, but you're not gonna play it in like 5 years or whatever. It's like,
Don't do that.
build that little dungeon you need. Like Bill said, the few tiles you need, and maybe some scatter for it. And you're done. And then you have that scatter for next time, and you have some tiles you can add to other tiles, and then you start building up, and that's how you end up with all the crap I have in my.
Same with world building. Start small and then get big.
Do we want to take one more caller over here?
Do we have someone who popped in?
Someone new pop in?
Trent.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me? I was just wondering, so obviously your videos have inspired a lot of people. I was wondering who inspires you?
Is this open to everyone?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I found Scotty's channel, and then the next day I found Gareth's, And then I PM'd Gareth about the virtues of the metric versus imperial system. And then about 6 months later, I started my channel. So it was Scotty and Gareth.
Not that it took him 6 months to understand the metric system.
I mixed both those.
That was perfect.
Do you want some of my aloe vera?
I mean, honestly, for me, it's everyone. It's obviously you guys. It's what people share in the post. It's the camaraderie. It's the storytelling. It's grouping together. It's everything for me, really. So everything and everyone. How's that for a broad general response?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for answering.
What's your channel name again? I do watch your videos. Can't remember the channel name.
Miscast Terrain. Thank you for watching.
That bunker was very, very cool, by the way.
Thank you.
And where did you get the foam from? Just because you're a fellow Aussie, so you have the same shops as me.
Like the thin EVA foam? Yeah, I just get that from like the craft shop, Lincraft or Spotlight.
Lincraft.
And then the XPS foam comes from Bunnings. So.
Okay. Is it the yellow stuff that they sell?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, we're just having an Aussie moment.
No problem.
We've been doing it on the US side of things, so you guys can have your...
Real quick, that's a good opportunity, though. Let's go around. So, Miscast Terrain. There are a lot of people watching this may be familiar with some of these channels, but not the smaller ones, because there's dozens now. So, Miscast Terrain is one to check out. I'll say Game Terrain Engineering is one that I love.
Yep.
But there's DNG. He does a lot of live streams, but he does amazing stuff with foam.
Yeah. Then I think I'm going to jump over to Realmsmith because you took my other one.
Oh. Sorry.
He's really great for miniature painting, and you also have what is it, Denson? I always forget the order of it, but Brad's channel.
Devious Dungeons.
Yes.
Thank you. So
and in our Tabletop Crafters Guild site, we have listing of the different channels. So if you want to find other gold nuggets there, check out our website. Also, who is it? There's someone else I want to say who does the monsters. Dave O'Hara. What is it?
And if you're not on that list, please message us. We may not know that
check that one out too.
Yeah.
And Gareth, why don't you give us another one?
Gareth? Uh-oh.
Freeze?
Uh-oh. Internet unstable.
Internet blip. We have a blip.
All right.
Blip.
Hotel internet.
Alert.
I'll just pick one from the chat, which is really good, which is Crooked Staff Terrain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's another good one. Yep. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Hey. Action and lighting, all hotel related.
So I'm choosing one from
Just put it out there.
Can you hear me now?
We look like Blaze.
I was going to say, this is like getting kind of like, the fiery depths of hell.
Okay, so Crooked Staff Terrain.
Judging you from
that's very
racist. We sold our souls for this to happen. Deal.
I sold my soul for terrain crafting. So.
Oh God.
But really, like Vanessa said, everybody inspires me. I love seeing the stuff that everybody posts, and I never want anybody to feel that their stuff isn't good enough, because it might be that little idea, that you have.
Yeah.
That inspires somebody else. I'm saying, so don't. Oh, my stuff's not good enough. Don't ever feel that way. No. Because I'm inspired by everybody. I really love posts.
Yeah.
Someone from the chat asked, what type of crafting would you like to see more of from the community?
Ah, that's a cool one.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I've seen some really cool ideas for underwater scenes lately.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember the name, but he has a bunch of like 1-inch thick slabs of foam, and it was painted really well.
Yeah.
More underwater.
And my phone's way over there.
And more maybe like other planar type stuff, weird kind of magical stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not the standard stone and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Great.
Definitely that would be awesome to say.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
More cool custom monsters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be. Oh, I didn't mean to say it like that, but yes. Yes. No, God help me. don't feel like just because it isn't normally seen that you shouldn't post it either. Because if it's something new and different and you're not seeing it posted, well, then it needs to be posted just for that in and of itself.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So that was a good question. I like that.
Yeah, it was.
Any others or?
Did you? This is Dan. Did you have big plans while you're all together in Columbus? Game or?
Yeah, we can reiterate.
Yeah.
All right. So tomorrow morning, the three goofballs on the couch are all going to be playing Hungover Dwarves. We're doing a one-shot deal from 9 to about noon in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, here on Scotty's channel. Dude, where's my cart? So, looking forward to that one. It should be fun.
3 hungover dwarves who lost their cart.
So we've been plotting and planning. So that should be.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
And then, do you want to give the deal for the evening thing? Do you want to?
Yeah. So from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, anyone who's local in the area here in Ohio, if you want to come on out to the Hampton
Inn Suites in Easton on Stelzer. I said it right this time.
I want to say Stelzer. Stelzer.
No plans. If you just want to come by, say hi, play a card game or whatever, just hang out. We have a room reserved, so that's tomorrow evening.
Yep, we'll put details for all of that up on the group and everything like that too once we get more, like if there's a name to the room or anything like that.
Some others, I'm trying to chronicle things on my good camera, and I'm hoping to do an episode and show you all the other things that we do tomorrow.
Yep.
As well.
Yep. So those are the big plans.
What? I personally make it back in Malibu, so.
That's gonna be a hike.
Yeah, it'd be a bit of a jaunt.
That's
Yeah.
Get the ticket.
I'm stuck in Australia, so I know how you feel.
Further.
Just a touch.
I can go east or I can go west, and I'd still get there.
Eventually. Anything else that popped up, or?
Somebody wanted to know an editing question about how long would you say it takes you to edit the minutes. Edit your minutes.
How long to edit a video together?
That's gonna.
I will go back. For example, for every 1 minute I put out, it probably takes at least an hour or two, including editing. So 4 minutes of footage takes me 4+ hours. So that kind of an idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it depends on if you're first starting out. There's a steep learning curve. Once you start getting the hang of the process, though, it definitely reduces itself. A lot of it's going to depend on what you're editing. Are you working from stills? Are you working from video? Are you ripping in audio? Are you adding in audio? There's a bunch of different factors. On average, for me now, personally, editing will take me anywhere between 2 to 3 hours for a video. It used to be 8 hours. So it's really like, it's a time sink that you have to put into it, especially if you're first learning.
Right.
What about you guys?
I'd say probably about the same.
Yeah, I've got lots of macros and stuff set up in my workflow. So once the footage is shot, then I go sit at my desk. It's about 2 to 3 hours to be ready to click render to have it ready for upload.
Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question there. It's honestly hard to put it minute to hour range.
Yeah, it doesn't really work that way.
No.
But that doesn't matter if it's a 20-minute video or a 3-minute video.
Yeah. Right.
It still takes 2 hours.
It's
and
for some reason.
It depends very much on the content. If you've got an hour of footage, it takes you an hour just to watch the footage. So there's the first thing is, if you learn to pre-edit, which means think about what you're going to shoot first and then shoot the particular things that you need rather than just rolling the camera for an hour, then it will be a lot faster. If you understand your setups and what you're doing, then it can be a lot quicker. if you're skilled with editing and shuffling and things like that, you can do an hour and edit that in 15 minutes. But then you are the one who shot it, and you know where everything's going to be taking place, and it's very easy to shuffle ahead and just in and out, and place it on the timeline. So then it comes down to experience and skill and that kind of stuff. But very much so, if you a key point to it when you're starting out is a lot of people don't actually script their videos, and by script I don't mean writing out word for word. I mean a point form summary of where you're going to start, what you're going to do, what you're going to say, and how you're going to finish. And that, just thinking about the structure in the video alone without shooting anything, is going to improve your video more than any other technique that we could tell you about, because you know a lot more about the structure. This is why obviously films have scripts, because otherwise it would just be a higgledy-piggledy mess. And a lot of the time with early people starting out, I think it's much better to start with a script, a point form summary of what it is you want to achieve and what it is you want to get out of the video, and that's going to help you immensely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Even if it's like storyboard, like you literally just sketch something picture-wise, that gets you going.
Right.
So
you can build that from the script, but you still need to just think about the order and what's going to be in there, and then draw a storyboard.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helped.
Yeah.
Any more floating around, or?
I just wanted to say real quick, thank you guys so much for answering my questions. I've got a loaded notes here now and some really great ideas to take away, so thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Have fun playing.
Enjoy the game.
Keep us updated. Absolutely.
There's really nothing.
I'm just a little overwhelmed, that's all, from the newness of everything, but I'm sure it'll work out.
There's really nothing like.
In 20 years' time, it'll be so different.
True.
There's really nothing like the game. It's like there's really nothing like role-playing games. I mean, movies aren't the same. Books aren't the same. It's that social interaction, just all having fun together when everything is working, and as a DM and your players are having fun and you're having fun. Directing this crazy train off the rails. It can go any way. It's like there's really nothing like it. People try to compare it to movies and different things and like categorize it, and you really can't categorize it. It's not like anything else. It's not like any other form of entertainment. Nothing will engage you more. No movie, no book. You'll be engaged more than when you're playing. It's just have fun, and as far as a DM, the main thing is you want to have fun, right? Just have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't force your players to do things. Like let them have their part of the story. It's like it's a fine line between letting them have their freedom and their part in the story, but keeping the story going, like not bogging down. Yeah. So when you learn all that as you play, you learn all that as you play, and you'll learn things that, you can watch a million DM videos, but until you actually play it, there are good DM advice videos, there's plenty, but it's not always your situation, you get better by playing, all of us have gotten better.
Don't be afraid.
It's just you're not.
Don't be afraid if you don't know what's going to happen next.
Very few people are like.
I think that's probably. Yeah, it's very important that when you're playing, if you're the dungeon master, you obviously need to know what's going to happen next, and that's what everyone goes, oh, I need to know what's happening. But in reality, you don't, because a lot of times the players will kind of create what's going to happen next through their actions, and you just think about how would the world. The situation, they smash a window and steal something from a shop. You don't have to have an adventure planned. You just know the city guard are going to chase them down the streets, right? So you just have to do that. So if you just think about it from a reactionary standpoint, you're having fun by creating all these guards chasing them down the street. and that wasn't what you had planned. So don't be afraid to not know what's going to happen next, because that's probably where all the fun actually exists.
It is. That is
Going
really
off
fun, where the players do stuff that you weren't expecting. Or, if they tell you something better than you had planned, go with it.
Yeah.
If it's like, they'll never know. The players will never, ever know that wasn't what you had planned.
They don't
so if they
know
come up
what
with a
you don't
great
know.
idea, like, oh yeah, that was the plan all along, and they will never know. So that's great advice.
And they tell you what a great story it was.
What they do. Yeah.
Going off of what Scotty said, I've been trying to get so many I go to Kansas State University here in Kansas. Been trying to get so many kids involved in just playing in D&D, and it's so tough because like you said, people want to just make it into like a movie, or they want to say it's only for nerds and so on and so forth, when in reality it's such a wonderful game. And in a world where it's a lot easier for my younger generation to just sit around a table texting on their phone and so on and so forth, playing D&D, that gets people facing each other, it gets people interacting, and people, I think, really need that. It's just so wonderful. And once again, I want to thank you guys for building up this community and just helping out D&D in general, because it really does make a difference. It does. Thank you so much.
So welcome. Have fun. Have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy
it.
Thank you guys for all the tips. I'm gonna bow out. That way, I don't want to take anyone else's questions or anything. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Aaron M says, Scotty, will you ever run a game at the local game stores, and can I be a player?
What local game store?
I have no idea he can say. I'm assuming he might be in the Ohio area somewhere.
Oh.
Dayton.
Well, I know there is a Dayton group, but I've never actually run any games there, which is weird. I should probably do that. But I have several of my own games, so I don't know if I have the time.
You should live stream some of them. People need to see you in action.
Yes, they do.
I got completely schooled at the end of our last session when he called in, and we were dual DMing.
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier too. It was amazing.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Well, it was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That or go to Origins.
Yeah.
That might
I'll definitely be at Origins last year, and I ran games this year, and I'm going to run them next year.
So much fun.
Come play in my come play in my games.
Ooh, we have a fun one. It says, hey guys, I'm just starting to craft train, and I'm learning it's taking a long time hunched over my workspace. Any tips on how to save my back, wrists, and shoulders some strain?
Oh.
Stand.
Stand.
I was going to say get up.
Get up. Wow. That is a good point, though, I guess.
No, actually, it does help to kind of change your elevations if you can.
Yeah.
I have one of those. It's a funky looking thing. It's a chair where it doesn't have a back, and you sit on it and you wrap your legs. I'm gonna have to post a picture of this just so it makes sense, because it's gonna sound so wrong.
It's a kneeling chair.
It's a kneeling chair, or you can sit on an exercise ball. Those types of things do help. But if you're gonna do the exercise ball, get the little saucer that keeps it in place. Not that I would know that from experience. But those have helped me. But yeah, just stand up every so often, take a break, move around. Yes, you're in the mindset where you want to keep going and going and going, but physically you really do need to stop and give your body a break.
You do. I know. I get so obsessed. I'm like, just keep going and keep going. And I've been there. Yeah, it's like get up. I was like, oh yeah, whoa, okay, I've been sitting here too long.
Yeah. Again, I'll offer a different tack. Just keep going and trick your brain. Teach yourself that pain is pleasure.
Okay, turn the chair in that. We're done.
Gonna get this done.
Dang it! I got a game tomorrow. I'm gonna get it done. Oh,
that's made him the man he is today.
We want to sort of wrap it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've been going almost 2 hours strong now.
Yeah, yeah.
2 hours 36 minutes.
Yeah.
Seconds.
Oh, yeah. I think it's time to. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. It was great, and we got to be together. And hopefully you can catch the game tomorrow. At some point. And, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Bye, Gareth.
See ya.
All right, take care, G.
Bye, everyone. Thank you very much.
Someone also said V's logo needs to be on the side with y'all if you were going to put her in here.
Oh, that's a good point.